Today's run was a little more nostalgic than normal. I got to see the old high school I used to go to.
I went to high school right there.
And I got to see a water fountain with a bunch of bubbles. Great run today. Also, for those of you asking how the sugar thing is going, considering I ate half of this for breakfast with my morning coffee, not great. Airdropping something to myself, then we're gonna leave. I think that's everything. You know, it never rains in California, but every time we come and visit, it rains. You see that church right there? That church is the church that I played for before I moved to the East Coast and played for Elevation. So we're on our way to lunch right now. It's with her family and somebody we used to work for.
Yeah.
I don't know what that ambulance was doing. He stopped and there's a cop right there that wasn't letting him through. Very interesting situation. Lunch. I actually think I've played a gig at this golf course before. It's been a long time, but it's funny. I like your cute pink umbrella. It kind of matches. Not really. Well, that's the church. This is the church that I played at before I played at Elevation. So like I said before, this church was the one that I played at before Elevation, and I learned a lot, both in Ableton and just in playing in general. And honestly, one of the things I didn't ever expect to have to deal with or learn is this church, funny enough, actually has an electric drum set for their main auditorium. The auditorium seats about 2,500 people, and I had to learn not only how to play on an electric kit, but how to make the electric kit sound like a real drum set. There were so many times where I had a part-time job. I worked at Best Buy, a part-time job at Best Buy, which is right down the road from this church. So there were so many times I would get off my 8-hour shift at Best Buy, and I would come here and just work on that specific drum set for hours. I'm talking 6-7 hour practice sessions. And the whole reason was because practicing on a real kit and then going to electronic kit, it felt like it didn't completely translate. And a lot of times it was just easier for me just to practice for Sundays on the actual kit that I was playing. So that way, if something went wrong with the electronics or the programming or something like that, I could easily fix it, or feel like I could easily fix it, more so than if I would just practice on a regular drum set. Another big thing was getting used to playing and how it felt playing on an electric kit versus an acoustic kit. It wasn't the drums necessarily, because it was the nice mesh pads. I think it was a TD20 drum set. It was mostly the cymbals and just learning where I have to hit the cymbals to get them to wash, get them to open up, get them to just sound like a ride cymbal, stuff like that. It was honestly like learning a brand new instrument, because a normal cymbal is pretty self-explanatory, where you need to hit to make it sound like a crash cymbal and where you need to hit to make it sound like a ride or a bell or whatever. So because of that, or because of those two things, it was just a lot easier just to come here after I ended up getting off work and just working through choir arrangements or just CCM stuff for the weekend that I was scheduled. For those of you that heard that, yes, I did say choir arrangements, and honestly, I contribute those choir arrangements to the drummer that I am today. And honestly, I think playing those choir arrangements got me ready for Elevation for a couple of different reasons. The way this church is set up, they'll do like, if it's a 5-song set, 4 of the songs will be contemporary, and then the 5th song will be like a choir arrangement or something like that. Me being a young drummer, the CCM stuff was super easy because it's made to be easy. But the thing that I would always have to spend a lot of time, or most of my time on, were the choir arrangements. And some weeks I had to spend a lot of time on like the arrangement itself. Sometimes it was the grooves. A lot of times it was the hits. And it was mostly just because I wasn't comfortable playing that kind of music compared to like CCM stuff. But because I learned that stuff and because I fought through it, I'm a better drummer because of it, I think. Now, I also mentioned that I learned Ableton at this church, and this church was actually the first church that I had ever like used tracks for, or honestly even like got the program Ableton. When I was here, I was in charge of loading tracks for different arrangements or different songs that we were doing with tracks, loading all clicks and everything else like that. And honestly, doing that, it allowed me to really, it provided me a really safe environment to learn Ableton, and gave me a lot of opportunities to try things and to honestly like to make mistakes, and it was great. And much like the choir arrangements, I believe, transformed how I play as a drummer, the Ableton thing transformed and made me a lot more versatile, and ultimately kind of prepared me for playing at churches like Elevation or anywhere else, really. So with all that, I really am grateful and thankful that I was able to play at a church like this, just because it helped me grow, and it allowed me to try different things and expose me to different things that I normally would have never exposed myself to. And honestly, it really, I have videos of me playing at this church on my YouTube channel right now. I'll link some of them down below. And that's kind of where my YouTube channel, like this is where my YouTube channel originally started too, was making content at this church on that drum set. So it holds a special place in my heart. Little fun fact, I actually played a drumline gig back when I was doing drumline right there, like by that fountain. It was actually my last gig as a bass drummer and my first gig as a snare drummer, funny enough. Savannah used to work at this express store, like right there, and she's surprising one of her friends that works there, and that's why we're here right now. On the drive over here, I thought of a funny story, talking about that church that I just showed you, and how I actually got around to being able to play for the main sanctuary. Because before that, I was playing for high school and middle school, like the youth groups, and the transition from that to the main sanctuary was not my doing and less than ideal. So I played for the high school and middle school, like I said, for a number of years, and there was a couple of times where the worship leader for the main sanctuary asked if I could play. For one reason or another, it just never really worked out, and honestly, inside, I was kind of relieved because I thought that I wasn't able to or prepared to play for, number one, that many people, and number two, like the choir numbers. That's not me. That I don't know how to play that stuff. So I always just kind of wrote it off as like, I'm not gonna do that. And I just, honestly, I kind of ignored the problem and hoped that it would go away, like many things in my life. So I was actually in a rehearsal for middle school, and the worship leader for the main sanctuary interrupted the the rehearsal and basically said like, "Hey, John, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to talk to you." And basically, he pulled me out of the rehearsal, like stopped the whole thing. Like we were in the middle of like a run through, and he stopped everything, pulled me out of the rehearsal, and basically said, "I need you to play for the main sanctuary. Like I have a drummer that just left before he moved to Chicago, and I need you. And gave me the contract, told me to sign it, and then I would be put on the schedule." And literally like a month later, I was put in the rotation for the main sanctuary. And that's kind of been how most of my musical career that's the tone of it. And I don't know if it's just because I've never been one to really chase opportunities. I've always just embraced the opportunities that kind of come along my way. A lot of times me embracing it is kind of forced by other people, which is good for me. But like with Elevation, I didn't want to do it, and long story short, I ended up auditioning because there was a need. Just like the main sanctuary at that church, I didn't want to really play for that, but there was a need, and God kind of opened a door, and I stepped through that door. And basically, I think to me what makes playing in church and playing for churches really cool is kind of just fill needs as they like show up. And I think that's the most healthy way to approach it. I think the second that you start trying to like climb the corporate ladder in a church, then you kind of set yourself up for disappointment, and it's a lot more healthy to go at it from what does this church need and how can I provide value and assistance to them, and come at it from like a servant's heart, basically. But all that to be said, that church, probably one of the most influential, and all because a worship leader interrupted a rehearsal that I was currently in, and basically said, you need to play. So I'm sitting here in the car, and I'm trying to go through my Instagram and honestly find some like videos that I can get. Anyway, I'm trying to go through my Instagram, and this 5G is just, it's terrible. I don't know if it's my phone, which I don't think it is because it's a brand new iPhone 14, but the internet is just so, like, it's taken forever just to load this. I don't know if it's 5G. I sound like a crazy old man. I don't know if it's 5G or my phone is noticeably slower here than it was in Nashville.
Got your pants. Yeah, where are we going?
Going to get running socks for me, because apparently I've been having like these calluses. This is really gross. I've been having these calluses and blisters on the side of my toe, like right there. And I think it's because of my socks, because I've been using like official, like running, some moisture wicking running socks, and I haven't had any issues the past couple of days that I've used those. But the other like cotton running socks that I have, I always have issues after using those. So I think it's, long story short, we're going to go try to get some socks. San Francisco.
I'm also making him take me to Target.
What?
I'm making you take me to Target.
Yay. It's raining again. Here are the socks. These are the socks. All right, I got two different pairs of socks. There's a lot to know about socks, I guess, and I'm gonna try two pairs and then kind of figure out what ones work. It's great talking to that guy.
Target?
I guess, yeah. You know that little running jacket that I wear like on every run? We got it from here, but it was like on clearance, and we haven't been able to find another one. We're checking to see if they have like one here that I can get, so I'm not using the same running jacket every time. So far, no luck. What size is that? This isn't the exact same thing. It's actually a hoodie, but it's the same material. So I'm just tired of wearing the same thing because it's sort of sneaky. All right, I think I got everything that I need, and now we're just we're looking for her. But I think I'm good-ish.